Good evening, everyone, and welcome. We are going to be getting to the bottom of inflammation. We're going to be sharing some of Dr. Jocker's information on the inflammatory lab marker. So a little bit of technical and the optimal ranges, but these are some really great pieces that, that you can have available for yourself. So because there's lots of information, we want to make sure that if you have questions, you can get answers. And Dr. Justine has made herself available. Just give her a quick text at the number on the screen. I wanted to welcome Dr. Justine and Dr. Justine. And Dr. Justine is our leader here at Justine Blaney Wellness Center. She is our primary chiropractor. She is an advocate for all of our health in the community as well. She is an author, she's a public speaker, and we're so happy to have her here. And Dr. Udani is our naturopathic doctor here at Justine Blaney Wellness Center, and she is very passionate, specialized in so many areas, and she genuinely believes that everyone has the ability for wonderful lifelong changes to their health. Please help me welcome both Dr. Justine and Dr. Udani.
All right, everybody. Man, there's lots of crucial information understanding the tests today that you need to for inflammation, but stay tuned. Our metabolism makeover, that is a longer one. That is one about just over an hour, but so crammed back with information. Unfortunately, we can't do our makeovers in person at the big gymnasium, but we did get all that information out to you. We're going to have talks on aging, on inflammation, talk for the kids, and how to reduce stress. So every week, something cool just for you and all free, because our mission is truly to give back to you. Now, today we're talking about Dr. Jocker's article. You can see it online. We're going to get the high points, so like the Cole's notes to make it easier for you, but 12 inflammatory markers. So if you're at risk of inflammatory disease, metabolic disease, this is for you, understanding what you need to do and how to get it tested. And Dr. Udani is here to help me. So there are 12 inflammatory markers, and they can be related to fatigue, if you have aches, your skin conditions, digestive concerns, headaches. Other chronic symptoms can be related to inflammation. It's going to be testing is how you have true knowledge, right? We don't want to guess. We want to test to see if this is something that's affecting you. It'll find out if you have underlying health conditions that maybe you're not aware of, even you may not feel. For example, heart disease can be building and you have no idea. Cholesterol can be building without any symptoms. Headaches, sometimes we only think about when we have the headache, but we don't realize the steps before getting the actual headache and symptom. With the testing, we can get the right customized treatment plans. We can monitor progress, know if we're on the right track to get that energy, that vitality, that get up and go, that joie de vivre. We need that. And in order to do that, we need to test. So to understand inflammation, we have our acute response and chronic response, but inflammation can be a good thing. It is our body's innate intelligence to respond to a problem. So for example, if you step on a piece of wood, you get a sliver, you're going to get an inflammatory response because the body's saying that's a foreign object in your skin and it wants it out. If you sprain your ankle, inflammation happens to get all the blood and nutrients to your ankle, even though the swelling might look bad and feel bad. That's your amazing body switching on and doing the right thing in an acute response. So inflammation isn't bad. This is our body's natural ability to help us. However, it is bad if it's chronic, if it's lasting too long, and if it's asymptomatic, it can also be even more problematic for your overall health. So you see in the acute area, you get inflammation right away, your body does all the right things, and it creates healing. But if it's chronic stimulus, a chronic problem that's building, this is the testing we need. This is what we're talking about today, because this leads to a horrible cycle that eventually can lead to disease. So some of the symptoms, you might not be pain. It might be memory concerns. It might be signs of autism or MS or Alzheimer's. It might be just forgetting where your lists are all the time, heart condition, so just getting out of breath more, or your heart feeling like it's racing, might affect your strength levels, your gains. You're trying to go to the gym and you feel like you're never improving. It can affect things like osteoporosis and bone developments, skin conditions and rashes, eczema. It'll affect your thyroid and your hormones, your breathing levels, your digestion, things like Crohn's, celiac, GERD, irritable bowel, or how our kidneys are going to filter. And finally, it can affect how our liver is going to help detox everything for us. So when you look at this picture, inflammation is a huge deal. And if I asked you, how's your liver feel? Most of the people don't feel liver pain. Or how does your kidneys feel? They think, well, I'm going to the bathroom, but they don't really actually know if your kidneys are functioning properly. So again, test, don't guess. Let's get to the test today. Dr. Udani is going to help us with finding out the 12 lab tests that you want to make sure your doctor is prescribing and you're getting to the bottom of the information. And these tests are going to help find out about our mitochondria. These are the powerhouses in our body that help our body function better. And you can see the cycle of damage here. If we have metabolic instability, then unfortunately, if our mitochondria can't work hard because of diet, because of stress, because of toxins or infection, we're not getting good sleep, all of a sudden you get instability of those mitochondria functioning at their best. And then we're eventually leading to more damage, dysfunction, metabolic instability. Our body's not able to manage the proteins properly, and that's what leads to chronic disease. And it can be associated with things like heart problems, lung problems, headaches, brain concerns, chronic pains like fibromyalgia, autoimmune diseases, our memory, so autism. So we got to take care of our mitochondria. And again, today the focus is it a problem or not? And how do we do that? We test. So Dr. Udani is going to help us with the top 12 inflammatory lab markers.
Thank you, Dr. Justine. Yes, so we don't want to guess when it comes to inflammation. It's better and it's safer if you do get it tested, because that way we can stop it before it gets too serious, and we can see what's the optimal range if you're within that optimal range, or if you're going or creeping up into being a little bit above normal. So I always say, because I, as a registered naturopath, I can order lab work in Ontario. So if this is something that you are concerned about, you can always book a consult with me, so that way we can figure out which test to be ordered as well. So these are the top 12 inflammatory lab markers, and we're going to actually go over one by one. So it might get a little technical, but feel free to, talk to me about it at the clinic, or send me an email or anything like that if you want to take a look into it deeper. So the first one that we're going to talk about is a very common one. It's called HsCRP. So this is a marker that is many doctors, they order it just to see a general rate of your inflammation. So this can be high in people that have rheumatoid arthritis, for example, eczema, even heart disease, Crohn's disease, sleep apnea, because the liver will increase the production of this protein when it's under stress and when the body is inflamed. So you can see there some of the optimal ranges of this protein to have in the body. And please keep in mind the unit that it's having, it can be different between American and Canadian. So like, America has pounds and things like that, and America has miles and Canada has kilometers. So just be aware of that too. And then you can always come talk to me as well. So this is a very it's a very common blood test that we order to make sure how is your overall inflammation, how is that doing. Second one is actually for your blood glucose. So HbA1c stands for how much of your blood is carrying glucose in it. And the higher that is, the more likely that you are diabetic. So having this tested every year, I usually get my own tested at least once a year to see where I'm going, because that way you have something to look back at as well. You can see the progression. And this marker tests for your past 2 to 3 months of the blood glucose levels. So it gives you an average of that. Okay. So, and the optimal range, I would say, is you want to be anywhere below 5.3. So anything above 5.5 to 6 is considered pre-diabetic. It's considered normal, but it's still at the higher end than I personally would like it to be. Anything above 6 to 6.5 is considered pre-diabetic and diabetic, basically. So this is a great marker to measure your blood sugar levels, because we always say, more sugar you have, the more inflammation there usually ends up. And with more inflammation, there's more risk of autoimmune conditions, lifelong chronic illnesses like diabetes, and high blood pressure, high cholesterol. So this is a very important marker to get tested at least once a year, and especially if you're at risk for diabetes. So if you have family history of diabetes in the family, get this tested at least every 3 months or so. And another one to measure your inflammation is fasting insulin. So this is where you want to fast for about 12 hours and then get it tested, because usually before you're diabetic, you tend to have more insulin resistance. So that what that means is insulin is a hormone that acts as the key to unlock the doors in the cell so that the sugar can go into the cell. So oftentimes, when you have too much insulin in the body, that can actually be a marker for diabetes down the road, and inflammation down the road as well. So some signs of insulin resistance can be you have really bad cravings. You feel really tired all the time. You're irritable. You're just angry. You want to sleep all the time. These are actually signs that you might think it's normal, but it's actually could be signs of insulin resistance. And don't wait, get a test to see, could that be one of the things? For example, I had a patient come in and he was saying he wants to eat every 2 hours. Like, he would wake up in the middle of the night wanting to go and get food because he was so hungry and he didn't understand what was causing it. So in those cases, I would test your insulin to make sure what's going on, and your blood sugar levels too. The next one is ferritin. So this is our iron storage protein, and especially for women, this is a great marker to see how much iron you have in the body, because we tend to be low in iron a lot, and when we don't have enough iron, we actually don't have enough blood cells being produced. It's isn't able to carry oxygen as much as well as it could, because iron is very important for oxygen to be carried in the body. And ferritin is the iron storage protein. So the optimal range for women is between 50 to 75. So if you're anything lower, you might start to feel really tired. You might start to experience hair loss. Your periods might get really heavy or really, really short. So this is a test to get tested to make sure your ferritin levels are okay, because if it is too high, that could also be a problem. So we want to make sure it's not too low or not too high. And it's something that I can order for you as well if you're worried about this. Another one is the red blood cell width. So the red blood cell width is another marker for anemia, and to see are you low in B vitamins, especially B12 and folate. So especially if you're a vegetarian, you don't really necessarily get a lot of B12 in your diet. So you might getting this tested will help you see are you low in B12? Do you have a deficiency? And when there's a deficiency, we want to make sure that we give you the right kind of nutrients and supplements to help you bounce back. Because otherwise, you can start to develop anemia and feel very tired and fatigued excessively. Homocysteine is another marker that we can test, especially if you're worried about heart issues. So anything related to heart disease, atherosclerosis, stroke, that can be, so homocysteine can be a marker to see, are you at higher risk for developing this? And there's very, very easy way to reduce this, and that is to add more B vitamins into your diet. And this is a great, big, very common marker for inflammation in the cardiovascular system. The next one is called ESR. So this is a marker to see how thick your blood gets. So when your blood is thicker, that means it's clotting a lot more and it's more inflamed. So this marker really tests to see how much inflammation is going on in your body by testing the stickiness of your blood. So if it is too high, then that could mean that you're at higher risk for rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, a lot of the very serious autoimmune conditions like those. Even sometimes eczema or scleroderma can have high ESR markers too. So the sweet spot for this is between 175, another one you could do instead of ESR is the platelets. So platelets are the type of blood cells that can help clog, that can help with healing. But when it's too inflamed, they tend to stick way too much, and they can help with wound healing. But when there's too much of the inflammation going on, they can be too high. So it's another marker to see how inflamed are you, because sometimes you don't have the symptoms, but all these markers are telling that there is something serious going on, and until it's too late, we don't find out. So checking these markers, getting tested, is a really great way to figure out what's going on. LDH is another marker to see what is going on with your mitochondria. So having good mitochondria is very important for function, for energy, and for helping with fatigue. So elevated levels could mean there is inflammation. So LDH, think of it as a marker to check how is your mitochondria doing, and the optimal range is between 140 and 180. And the next one has more to do with chronic infections and also inflammation too. So neutrophils, think of them as your antibacterial white blood cells that kill bacteria. And lymphocytes are the ones that kind of kill more. They're more developed. They're like the secondary force troops. So if you have too high of neutrophils compared to lymphocytes, that could mean that your body is fighting so many infections that it doesn't have the resources to produce the other guys, the more complex ones. So when you look at their ratio, if the neutrophils are way higher than the lymphocytes, that could mean there is a lot of inflammation, a lot of chronic infections going on. Okay, so the next marker is the liver enzymes. So Dr. Justine mentioned how important a liver is with lowering inflammation and kind of making sure the detox process is going well too. And these are the 4 liver enzymes that we test for. And this is a very common test that I do that can help for us to figure out how is your liver doing? Because sometimes your liver could be struggling, but we just don't know until it's too late, and we end up with hepatitis or jaundice, for example, right? So these are like 4 amazing markers to test to see how is your liver functioning. And especially this is important if you have family history of alcoholism or a self-history of alcoholism, if you have a very heavy diet full of like unhealthy fats, high blood sugar, high blood pressure. It's good to get your liver tested when it comes to these things. And the next marker is the neutrophils to lymphocyte ratio that I mentioned before. So it's the cholesterol, the lipid profile, because because of the diet that we have these days, the standard American diet, we are constantly, a lot of us are eating more fast food. Like, for example, my brother, he tends to eat a lot of meat, a lot of sausages, a lot of that preservative-full meats and things like that. And you can have very high levels of the bad fats into your food. And that can cause a lot of inflammation. So when it comes to your cholesterol levels, especially in Canada, I would say you want to have anything less than 5 is considered ideal, so optimal. So here with Dr. Jocker's, because he's from the States, his range is 180 to 300. But in the labs done in Canada, it will be anything less than 5 millimoles per liter would be the ideal, in my opinion. And with the LDL to HDL ratio, you want more of the HDL compared to the LDL, right? So if you can't have even, at least have 2-to-1 ratio of that. And HDL is the healthy fat. So incorporating those fatty, healthy fats like from the salmon, olive oil, nuts and seeds can go a really long way to improving avocado to improving your HDL ratio. And your triglycerides is another one. Triglycerides, I would say optimal is less than 1 millimoles per liter. So that would be in your lab shown as anything below 1. So this is where, if you want a deeper look, please come consult with me. That way I can help you go through one by one to let you know exactly what's going on, because a lot of times medical doctors don't have the time to go through this. Whereas when you come see me or another naturopath, we have a full hour to half an hour where we make sure that everything is read through, nothing is filtered out or anything like that, nothing falls through the cracks. And vitamin D3 is another big marker for inflammation. If you are too low in this, you can be at risk for so many conditions, including cancer, including a lot of autoimmune conditions. Even hair loss can be due to low vitamin D. Diabetes can be, polycystic ovarian syndrome, so a lot of female fertility concerns can be from this too. So optimal range is anywhere between 150 to 200. So this range, for Dr. Jockers, is optimal is 50 to 70. So when you convert that into Canadian version, it's like 100 to 170. That's the range. So vitamin D, get that checked out. It's so important, especially because we have winter for such a long time. We don't go outside. Getting that checked out to make sure that we can top it up safely is a big marker to see overall health. And, this is where comprehensive analysis can come in, where if you want more questions and if you want more solutions to your questions, you can always have different panels of blood work be done. And, these are very actually readily available in Ontario, and there are more specialized ones that you can order from the States that I can help you with as well. And, this could be things to see how is your immune system functioning, how's your blood sugar, insulin levels are doing, what are your minerals and vitamins? Like we can do a whole panel of all the different vitamins and minerals to see exactly what do you need to supplement or increase more. So that way it's more cost effective for you too. And you can even check your urinary tract health. So how is your urination? What are you eliminating with heavy metals and toxins? Are they functioning properly? We can check your thyroid hormone levels. A lot of times women come in with lots of fatigue. They say they're always tired. They don't know why. And they say their thyroid looks normal, but there's deeper thyroid lab markers that we can do to see, do you have antibodies? Do you have an autoimmune condition that's affecting this? So there are so many options for you with comprehensive blood analysis, and getting it tested to be sure is the number one thing. That way you're safe and you know where your health is headed as well. And getting it tested at least once a year, that way are you going in the right direction?
Thank you so much, Dr. Udani. I know, guys, that's 12 amazing tests, and many times you haven't done all 12, or you haven't done even half of them, or you're not even aware what your doctor's checking or what it means. And I love the fact that when I meet with my naturopath, they can explain it and what the test results mean. Not even sometimes you're low normal. And how do you go from low normal to being high normal in order to have optimal health? And that kind of, improving to top level vitality is done with a naturopath, not typically with a medical doctor. They don't have the time to spend with you to go over the right supplements, the right dietary changes that you need to get to that high normal level. And of course, chiropractors specialize in checking your nervous system, and that's why we do thermography to look for areas of inflammation, palpation, our neurological and orthopedic tests to look at how the brain and spinal cord are functioning, so to make sure those nerves are being not being blocked, so that your brain can send the messages to all of those different organs. And so that's why Dr. Udani and I work together, because she can order all of those other tests, which I don't order, and I focus on the spine and the nervous system. So I recommend everybody has their own chiropractor and their naturopath, and making sure they work together. So love that you were with us. Tons of information again. Stay tuned with us with our makeover. That is a longer talk, jam-packed with tons of information to boost that immune system. Lots of different supplements that we talked about. We have aging talk, inflammation, another talk coming up, and we have a talk for kids and a talk on stress. So stay tuned with us, share with others, do a review. We appreciate all of you, and our mission is truly to help you make a difference. And that's why we provide all of this information free to you, free to family, free to friends. We look forward to being again with you soon.
Take care, everybody. Thank you for hanging out with us today.